This is our prayer box. We keep it at the back of the chapel so that it's available for you to write down on a slip of paper your prayers and place them in the box. They'll stay here at Unity Church on the Mountain for about 30 days where we continue to pray over them. And then we send them to Unity Village where Silent Unity will pray over them for another 30 days. So please join with me in prayer. Simply relax your mind, relax your thoughts, and go into that still place within. And let us lift up these prayers, holding them in gratitude for their fulfillment to the highest good. And for this we say thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Dean. Now we will have Susan lead us the daily word.
Our daily word today is potential from the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 13. Through the divine in me, I discover and develop my true spiritual nature and potential. As I learn who I truly am, I embrace my Christ nature, the image of God that I am. I discover my true spiritual potential as I allow my divine faculties, such as imagination, faith, love, wisdom, understanding, strength, and more, to express through my thoughts and words and actions. Any ideas of limitation dissolve as my imagination develops an inspiring, positive vision for my future. Faith provides a firm foundation for the attributes of love, wisdom, and understanding to bring my vision to life. The faculty of strength allows me to keep on keeping on through any challenge. These God attributes are mine to develop and use as my divine potential unfolds. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that you may abound by the power of the Holy Spirit. In Romans 15, verse 13.
continue to move into meditative, prayerful state. And we are going to say the Lord's Prayer as we usually do. We're going to have a pause, a brief pause in between that and a different translation. I wouldn't say newer translation, but another translation as we experiment with what the Lord's Prayer means to us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Prayer again. Our Father and Mother, who dwells in heaven and earth, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And help us to avoid temptation, and deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Let's just take a deep breath and breathe in this beautiful day as we relax into this moment. We even are thankful for the heat. We're grateful that we have come together this morning for a holy purpose, knowing that we are exactly where we're supposed to be in this moment and in this time. We realize that within us there is a vast presence that is greater than anything in this world. It is the very presence and light and love of God. It knows only peace, joy. It is who you really are, is a divine expression of life created in the image and likeness of God. So we take a moment and just breathe in this love and breathe in this light, letting go of anything that may be bothering you, any concerns, ideas, thoughts, becoming completely present here in this moment. For everything you need is right here, right now, in the perfection of this holy instant. This grand space within you, where your true self abides, the spirit of life that you are, can only be accessed when we allow ourselves to turn away from the world that is temporary and fleeting, and turn within to the very inner self that we are, that is timeless and ageless and holy and innocent. For in this place within you, nothing is impossible. We find this place within us as we enter into stillness and silence and listen to that sweet, still, small voice that is always there waiting for us to turn within. So I invite you to let your body completely relax and surrender to this moment. You feel yourself supported by the pew you're sitting in, becoming becoming aware of your body in this present moment. Take a moment to see if you're holding on to any tension or tightness in your muscles within yourself. Consciously let your legs become still and free. Release any tension in your abdomen, your chest. Allow your shoulders to gently drop. Release any tension or stress in your neck, your forehead. Begin to feel your face soften. As you become completely still. As you consciously begin to pay attention to your breath, simply watching as you breathe in deeply, as this breath comes into your lungs, and then you exhale. And if you become distracted, uncomfortable, or even irritated, just simply bring your attention back to this breath. Become the watcher of your breath as you breathe in and let go and release. Feel yourself surrender completely and fully. Begin to feel a sense of lightness, a sense of calmness, a sense of peace. Knowing there is a place within you that is completely unaffected by any conditions of your life or your body. There is a place within you that is completely untouched by all the events of this world. It remains in this moment exactly as God created it to be. This is your true self. It is the only thing about you that is real. And I would invite you now, just as your body is relaxed and surrendered, take a moment and see what thoughts are there in your mind right now. Take a moment to think about what you're thinking about. Whatever thoughts may be there, just acknowledge them and simply realize that you have the choice and the power to let these thoughts fall away. And as best as you can, allow your mind to become empty. As you let go and surrender, allow your mind to unwind, become still and quiet and empty. And as thoughts begin to appear, just simply acknowledge them without judgment. And then let them fall away. Without resistance, just allowing things to be as they are. Begin to notice the space between your thoughts widening. This space of stillness and emptiness increasing. For this holy, sacred space between your thoughts, here is a gap, an opening, an entryway into your true self. Here's where you access the part of you that is timeless and ageless and complete and whole. This part of you was here before you were born. It is within you now. And it is the only thing you will leave this experience with. Your true, essential self. Created in the image of God. So we listen in these times of stillness and quietness and emptiness. And hear, be still, and know that I am God. Be still and know that all is well. No matter what appears to be happening in this world. Continuing to let go and surrender to the perfection of this moment. Moving into the silence. This place of stillness, from this emptiness, we feel only gratitude for this time together, for we have been brought here together, purposefully. For there is perfection in the unfolding of life. And every encounter is a holy encounter. As we come together, we meet ourselves. So may our hearts be opened and our minds be open to hear and know something that is new and creative and alive now. Knowing that whatever needs to be said will be said, whatever needs to be heard will be heard. For this holy time together, we are so grateful as we say, thank you, God, and so it is. everybody. I'm just thinking here and get more water. I love being free and wireless. Could be dangerous. I'm so happy to be here with you this morning, and wow, I love that I'm seeing faces I've never seen before. I don't know if it's your first time here, or maybe I just missed you before, but wow, how wonderful to see so many faces and know that you are sitting exactly where you're supposed to be sitting. That's such a great thing to know, that there's this force in the invisible that is always guiding us to the right place at the right time. And even in the things that we so call bad, we know that everything is perfectly unfolding for our best. Because, you know, we fight our best. We really have convinced ourselves that we don't deserve the best, that we don't deserve what God has already given us. So we put up a lot of self-imposed limitations and ideas and doubts. And I believe that many of us, and that's probably why you're here today, have realized there's something within me greater to know than what I already know, and there's something in me greater to express than I've already expressed, and I want to know what that is. So I'm open to spirit, and I say yes to life. Oh God, that sounds like a good talk title. Maybe that's what my talk will be today. Saying yes to life. So if you wonder who this person is standing here, I haven't been around here a while. I've been involved. First of all, I'm Reverend Jack Fowler. I'm the spiritual director at Unity of Metairie in the New Orleans area. So if you guys ever come down to New Orleans, come and see me. We are just about 2 minutes from downtown in the suburbs. And our service starts at 10:30. So come and see us. You have a good excuse now to come to New Orleans. But I've been involved with this spiritual community for over 15 years, and I knew very well Reverend Carol, who's the minister here. And she and I have been buddies for a long time. And last year I was here visiting, and you know, I just realized that I had a special relationship with you guys, and you guys felt the same. And so the board and I got together and came up with this idea that I would come once a month and work on some projects, music, getting ready to stream like we did the concert last night, and other ideas that I've collected over time, and it's been such a wonderful collaboration. And then we decided just to do it every other month because there was so much going on that we could hardly accomplish it in 1 month. So this is my week to be here, and I'm so happy to be here. Clifford mentioned, this is a really exciting time because, as Clifford mentioned, last night we streamed the first event live from this congregation here, from this building. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yay, we're coming into the 21st century, here we come. And everything went well. We had a little intermission between, and we could get the camera on afterwards, but most of the concert ended up going out.
Bugs.
We started, what was that?
Gotta work those bugs
Yeah, you
out.
gotta work those bugs out. And you'll always have bugs. That's what happens with technology. When it works, it works. When not, it's not. We've been streaming our service down in the New Orleans area for about 1.5 years, and it's amazing what happens when your tribe begins to grow beyond your walls. And we have people watching from all over the world. It's just so exciting to look at those numbers. And the cool thing about streaming on Facebook, which is the platform that you'll be using for now, is that it stays archived in your post, so people can actually watch all during the week. And I remember when we first started streaming, I was so disappointed. I mean, I think we had 50 or 60 people watch, but I wanted like 1,000 people to watch the very first day. Like, I want 1,000 people watching, you know. And I was so disappointed, 50 or 60 people. And then later in the week, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday or so, I was thinking, I want to go back and watch the service and just see, you know, and constructively see what we might change or do. It's really interesting when you're standing up here and you don't get to see yourself. Sometimes watching a video helps you to become aware of, like, man, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this, or I should have fixed my hair better, or, you know, whatever. And I went to check the video, and then I noticed there was like 200 and something. And I was like, yeah! And as the week goes on, you'll find that when you're streaming, people go back and watch the service even all through the week, so it becomes a blessing. And it makes people very aware of not only Unity Church on the Mountain, but the reason that you're here. And that is to be of service, to share these teachings with people outside of your walls. And I think that is the coolest thing. A couple of years ago, I was at Unity's national conference called the People's Convention. And they had a seminar on streaming, and there was a group, I believe they were from some place in New Mexico, somewhere in the Southwest, and they got up to say, they started streaming many years ago, and they said they have about 50 people come and sit in their service, but they have over 1,000 people that are members and part of their tribe all around the world. And that opened my eyes, and I said, wow, this is something that we have to do. And just like with everything, I mean, there's going to be bugs in it. It took us probably 2 or 3 months to really get everything all worked out. And the good thing about it is, last night we did just use an iPhone, which actually works really well. But I worked with the board to get a really nice camera called a Mevo, which is meant for streaming. And it looks very fancy. It looks like television production where you can do different shots. And then we'll be putting the music and all the sound directly in, so the production will even get better. It's going to be really, really beautiful. So it's an awesome thing happening, you guys. Let's give us all a hand for moving forward. And now, this is the thing. This is what I tell people. This doesn't give you an excuse to sit home in your pajamas and drink coffee instead of coming to church. Because there's nothing like being in spiritual community with people. However, if you are moving to Connecticut, then you can still continue to watch the service. All this is an example. The reason I kind of been on about this is all this is an example about saying yes to life. I mean, it's so easy to get in a state where we're comfortable, or even we're uncomfortable, but the things that we're doing are familiar. If we work too much, it becomes familiar to us, and that becomes our life. And sometimes we miss those opportunities to say yes to life. If we make ourselves too busy, sometimes I wonder for myself, if I make myself too busy, why am I not willing to acknowledge within myself? Sometimes people have a lot of problem with meditation because they're afraid of what's going to happen when they shut off their mind and they really have to look at themselves. That is, and I know for me, that was definitely the case. I was like, you know, I don't really want to be still and quiet because I'm going to have to really evaluate my life and really look at it. And maybe some of the things that I'm not saying yes to, because the spirit within us innately wants to grow and expand, and it wants to know more, and it wants to love more, and it wants to be in the world more. And that doesn't matter. I mean, not everybody's supposed to be Oprah. I mean, everybody's not supposed to be famous, but whatever your thing is, you have a part of the world and you have a gift to give that can help someone right in the area that you are in that moment. I mean, I believe even going in the produce section in the grocery store is a holy encounter. You know, whenever you're sitting at home, don't be tricked by the ego when you're sitting at home and you think, man, I need some more milk. I've got some cereal, but I'm out of milk. This thought comes to you. So you go to the grocery store, you get in line. Your ego, your little mind thinks, oh, I need milk. But spirit is saying, there's someone there at that grocery store that you need to smile at. There's someone at that grocery store you need to encounter. And it makes it that every time that we come in contact with somebody, we are having a holy encounter. And we're seeing ourselves. I love that. I love Karen Drucker's beautiful song, You Are the Face of God. You are the face of God, I hold you in my heart. And I practice that during the day. I don't say it out loud because people think I'm crazy. But, you know, I'll look at people and just think to myself, as I live right in the French Quarter, which is a whole other story. We'll get into that one day, the things that I see sometimes. But I'll look at someone and I'll think to myself, you are the face of God. And if I know their name, I'll say, Debbie, you are the face of God. And I don't even have to say it out loud. And you know what? It transforms me because we reflect to each other what about ourselves that we want to see. We're a mirror to each other. So, have you ever had an idea that you thought was like crazy? You know, like for instance, say you love yoga. This is just an example. Anybody here to yoga? All right, yeah. So say you love yoga and you're sitting there being quiet one day, having a sandwich or whatever you're doing and just being still, and you get this idea, you should open a yoga studio. There's not really one in your area. You should open one. You could get teachers. You could really affect the community. And you just thought, oh, that's just some random crazy idea. Those are never random crazy ideas. Those are little ideas that can go into big ideas from spirit. But many times we're afraid to say yes when we're asked to do these things. Now, they're not always big like that. Sometimes it's very small. Have you ever felt an urge to just go up to someone and speak to that you that you don't know, never met before? And you'll argue yourself out of it. You'll say like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm crazy, or whatever. That's a smaller example of when we have the opportunity to say yes to life, because life, or this presence, or this God, or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter, is always giving us opportunities to be love in the world. Because if you like it or not, everybody in this room is a minister. You know, everyone is here. I mean, Dean and I just wear minister costumes because, you know, we love to speak and get in front of people. That's kind of what our gift is. But you are also a minister. You know, you are the hands and feet and voice of God. Who else is? What else is? God is not this weird flowing substance, or especially not an old man in the sky with a beard, those old ideas. You are the very presence of God moving throughout this world, and you may be the only example of love that someone sees. And sometimes that's simply saying yes to life, when you do something kind or loving to someone that might need that. But sometimes those things are bigger. Sometimes they're bigger. And I tell you what will happen, and it's 100% happens every single time, is that sometimes we'll get a little whisper. You know, well, let's keep using that same example. Open a yoga studio. Where would I get the money? What would I do? How would I fund this? I don't know if everybody would be interested. Oh, it'd be embarrassing if I failed. Oh, I don't know. Well, you know, and those, have you ever had thoughts like that pertaining to something? How's this supposed to? Well, that's not your job. That's not your job. Your job is to say yes and let it happen. And so then some time passes, and then later on, all of a sudden at work, if you're a regular job during the day, you start having conflict with someone that you used to get along with really well. And you start realizing that things that used to flow really well didn't. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, till finally you get the cosmic 2x4 and you have to do whatever it is that you're supposed to do. You know what I'm talking about when I say the cosmic 2x4? You've experienced it? It's when you are unwilling to listen to that still small voice and do what it asks, and eventually this beautiful voice is going to get its way. Because it has your good as it's almost like there's this this conspiracy against us, for our good. No matter how far we get off track, there's this presence that keeps us on that track no matter what. And so if you don't say yes to life right off the bat, you'll get plenty of opportunities to do it, and finally you get the cosmic 2x4. The cosmic 2x4 is not fun. It is not fun. I've had it many times. For me, some of the biggest things that have ever happened for me in my life happened because I was in a state of receptivity. I didn't do a vision board for them, although all those things are good. I'm not knocking any of this stuff. Like if you watch The Secret and you made a vision board and you put like, this would be the perfect mate for me, like hot, sexy man or woman, whatever you want, and the car that you want, and the whatever it is, and you vision that every day. That really works in the world. That's the law of attraction at work. But there's something even higher than that, where you move into service. That old song that says, "Is this all there is?" Once you get all that stuff, then what do? Wow. There's a moment where we move into service, and that's really saying yes to life. And sometimes it comes in formats that we don't even know. Some of the biggest things that have happened to me happened because I was ready and open, and I just turned the corner at a certain place. When I went to New Orleans the first time, I was in the music business from the age of 19 to 24, and I was completely burned out at 24. And I loved New Orleans, so I went to move down there in the 90s. And I didn't know what I was going to do for work. I had some savings, so I just kind of, walked around the French Quarter and drank, honestly, is what I did. I mean, I was in my 20s. That's what some people do, I guess. And I remember wanting to do music so bad. And I was thinking, how am I going to do music down here? I don't want to go sing like Brown-Eyed Girl in a club, and all that kind of stuff. What am I going to do? And I was just open, and I turned the corner. I was walking on Esplanade Avenue, I'll never forget. And I turned the corner onto Decatur at the edge of the border, and I walked into a bar that I was familiar with, and the manager of the bar was in there by himself, getting things set up. They were just opening. And he said, "Jack, could you come here for a minute?" He said, "Do you know anybody that plays keyboards? We have this group that plays here on Sunday afternoon. They're really popular, and their keyboard player got mad and quit. And he's no longer here." And he starts going through this whole thing. "Please, if you can hook me up." And I'm just smiling. He said, "Can you hook me up with somebody?" He said, "Now, it only pays $600 cash a day. But if you know somebody that'd be willing to do that, because, and I knew what show he was talking about, because I used to go to it. It's these two girls that were called the Born Divas, and they packed the house. I mean, they could sing their tails off. And they packed the house, were very popular. And he's like, well, it's only $600 a day cash. But do you know anybody that can play pop music on a keyboard? And I just grinned from ear to ear. And he said, what's the matter with you? Are you okay? Are you already drunk? You know, it's only 2 o'clock. And I was like, no. I was like, Matt, that's me. Like, I can do that. I said, when are we supposed to start? And I had my rent due. This is the other thing. I was sweating it out. I had rent due. And my savings was running out. I was about to call the old mom and pops for a little extra cash. And believe me, they weren't happy, being Pentecostal ministers, that I was in the city of sin. But I was going to call them and ask for it. And so I'm thinking, oh, wow. Well, you know, he said, I said, when do you want me to start? I was thinking, you know, in the next few months they would want me to start, and I could just borrow someone to get my rent paid. He's like, actually, I need you to start this Sunday, which was 3 days away. So I went in there. I ended up working at this place. Counting tips, we made usually over $800 a piece a day in cash. Not only did I pay my rent, but I furnished my whole front room, had plenty of cold drinks, you know, the whole thing. I had everything that I wanted. And it's just because I was open and ready and turned the corner at that time. And that changed my life, because I stayed at this place for almost 10 years. I started working with other artists, and I became the musical director for this whole, and it was more than a bar, it was actually like a theater bar performance type venue. So I became the producer of all these other shows. And I'm not even going to tell you how much I started making cash at that point, because it just got crazy. Only because I said yes to life. And that's an example of when we're open and we're ready and we say yes to life, sometimes it comes in formats that we're not even, don't even know about. I mean, I literally turned the corner. I turned the corner. One of these days, and you may have already done it or maybe coming up, you're going to turn a corner. If you're open and ready and you're saying yes to life, you're going to do exactly what I did, and some opportunity that you never even imagined will appear right in your hands. And it can happen really, really fast. Because I tell you, Spirit moves fast. If the ego wants to do something, man, you trudge along and you push and you're exhausted and it seems like forever. You know that feeling whenever you're trying to make something happen? Have you experienced this before? And you just feel like you're just pushing and you're just exhausted? Well, Spirit is like, here it is, boom, I completely rearranged the universe, boom, here you go. I'm like, wow, how'd that happen? We really are like in the Matrix. I wanted to close by reading for you something. Someone that said, really, really big yes to life. That is a couple of people named Charles and Myrtle. Some of you may know of them. They are the co-founders of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. They experienced a lot of hardship in the early part of their lives in the mid-1800s. Myrtle had tuberculosis. Charles had a leg injury from falling when he was ice skating when he was a child. And he got to where he could hardly walk. They both were poor. They both were just struggling with life. They decided to say yes to life. And they never were trying to start anything at all. They just were saying yes to life. And they came up with this amazing idea. Can you imagine this? To take the scriptures and the words of Jesus and actually put them to use. Wow. What an idea. And do you know that Unity was first called Practical Christianity? For that reason, because they said, we're not just going to go here on Sunday and talk about it and then wake up on Monday morning and still be just as depressed and sick as we were. They said, we're going to put God to the test and say, if this is true, and Jesus said, even greater things that I did will you do. We're going to put this to the test, and we're going to apply these things, and we're going to have the faith that is necessary. And they took a huge leap of faith, and their life transformed. They both became healthy as could be. Charles went into real estate and made a fortune, and they bought this huge property that's still there, Unity Village, this beautiful place where people could come and feel the peace and love, and you could train ministers. If you've never been, you should go. It's the most beautiful, peaceful place. It's just amazing and wonderful. They said yes to life, and they became healthy in all areas of their life, because many times we think prosperity is about money. No, prosperity is everything in your life being full and rich, your relationships and your bank account and everything about, and your creativity and all of it, prosperity. They stepped into the fullness of life by saying yes to life. And we are sitting here in this building today because they said yes. If they had said no, we would be somewhere else today. No telling where that would be. But we would be somewhere else. And if you're not familiar with the story, I won't go into the whole thing, but read up on it if you're not familiar with how they went from one spot to the other. But it was saying yes and really believing. And this is the covenant that they made. This was made December 7th of 1892, quite a few years ago. This is whenever they said yes in the biggest way, and they stepped forward in unity as we know today began. Listen to this. This is so powerful. This is the Fillmore Covenant. And you can go online and see the actual paper that this was written on. It's really beautiful to see it. I think it's very sacred. They said, "We, Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore, husband and wife, hereby dedicate ourselves, our time, our money, all we have, and all we expect to have to the Spirit of truth, and through it the society of silent unity. It being understood and agreed that the said Spirit of truth shall render unto us an equivalent for this dedication in peace of mind, health of body, wisdom, understanding, love, life, and abundant supply of all things necessary to meet every want without our making any of these things the object of our existence. This in the presence of the conscious mind of Jesus Christ, the 7th day of December, 1892, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore." So I am grateful that the Fillmores said yes to life. So we have to ask ourselves, are you ready to say yes to life in the biggest, most profound way? It's been a pleasure to be here today. I love you. Namaste. All is well.
We're going to stand and sing. Our next song is Jack Fowler's song. Celebrate my brothers. I celebrate my abundance. I celebrate my prosperity. I celebrate all of life's goodness, for all I need. Keep flowing to me, more than I need. Keep flowing to me. I am worthy, I am abundant. I am worthy, I am abundant. I celebrate my abundance. I celebrate my prosperity. I celebrate all life's goodness, for all I need. Keeps flowing to me, more than I need. Keeps flowing to me. I am worthy, I am abundant. I am worthy, I am abundant. I celebrate my abundance. I celebrate my prosperity. I celebrate all of life's goodness, for all I need. Keeps flowing to me, more than I need. Keeps flowing to me. I am worthy, I am abundant. I am worthy, I am abundant. May I have a seat, please? May I have a seat? We're going to go ahead and have Debbie Preece do her original song. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? That was a great sermon, Jack. Thank you. Thank you. And it really applies to what I've been going through as well. All my life, since I was a teenager, I knew I had musical gifts, but I never had confidence to use it. And unlike Jack, who was sharing yesterday, that he wrote his first song when he was 18 years old, I wrote my first song 2 years ago. So I am a late bloomer, and I've written 5 songs now. My last song is actually a jazz song, but I'm not going to play that one today. It's not quite appropriate for church, but but I am going to be singing it next weekend, and I'll let you know about that, where I'll be performing that. And this church has just been such a blessing to me, because I sang for the first time here at this church. I played the piano and the guitar for the first time here at this church, and there's just been so much encouragement from Amy and Barry and Carol Landry when she was here. So I've been blessed to be able to start getting some confidence in saying yes to my gifts. So this is the 4th song I wrote. I think I wrote it in the springtime, and it has some influence from John Lennon as well as Tom Petty, as far as like the rhythm. I love rhythm. And it's just about the ideal world that we all long for, where there's always love. We're just breathing love all the time, and we're experiencing love all the time, and we get a taste of it here at Unity once a week. So that's what this song is about. It's called Love Is Here to Stay. Because we all long for this world where love doesn't come and go. People fall in love, and then they fall out of love, and then sometimes do terrible things to each other. But we long for the world where this love just always stays. And I am one of the shyest persons in the universe, so if I can do if I can do this, you guys can do this too. You know, everyone has that song in their heart that they want to sing, and I literally have songs in my heart, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a book you want to write, you want to do a documentary, whatever it is. You know, now is the time to say yes and share that. Is that too loud? Or is it okay?
The only sound, and
life